Welcome to In the BACH of My Mind, the podcast where visionaries, voice professionals, soul-driven creators, and the curious stop playing small, not just by thinking different or feeling different or even sounding different, but by truly being and embodying the greatest version of themselves. I'm Natascha Bach, voice instructor, author, and transformational coach. In today's episode, we will discuss your voice, one of your most powerful tools for connection and creation. What if your voice is the key to everything? First, we're going to talk about your different voices. Then we're going to explore what is the inner voice and why does it matter? And what does neuroscience say about your inner voice? I'm going to share some quotes from notable authors as well as Olympic athletes and what they have to say about the role of the inner voice. I'm going to also share with you some practical tools for you to embody and make your inner voice be your greatest key to creating a dynamic life. First, let's talk about your voice. You have your inner voice, which is the internal stream of thoughts. They sometimes cue off of your emotions and feelings, and they are that inner dialogue that continues throughout the day. Then you have your outer voice. This is what the world hears when you combine your breath moving through your vocal folds to phonate and make sound vibrations. I want you to just take a second right now. Notice what's happening inside of your mind. That quiet commentary, the words that you're saying to yourself that no one else can hear. Is it supportive? Is it critical? Or maybe it's kind of scattered all over the place up there. Today, we're going to get really honest about the fact that it's not really just background noise. Your inner voice is either your greatest ally or your sneakiest saboteur. And this is where it gets really fun and juicy, is to know that inner voice, which is sometimes referred to as inner speech or sometimes self-talk, it is quite literally shaping your reality. The psychology, the neuroscience, even the quantum physics say that your thoughts are influencing the reality of your life. In this episode, I will help you to tune into that inner voice, to master it so that you can walk through your days with the kind of self-talk that really, truly uplifts and empowers and aligns you with the life that you are building. We're going to talk about the research, some ancient wisdom, and even some modern thought leaders. We're going to discuss practical tools and the Olympic athlete mindset. Yes, how Olympians, spiritual teachers, and even that little critical inner critic, how they all fit together into this conversation of the inner voice. What is the inner voice? Why does it matter? Your inner voice is the private conversation that you're having with yourself all day long. Psychologists say it's really how we're narrating our experiences. It's how we lean towards figuring things out when we need to problem solve. It's also how we tap into our emotions and discover their meaning. But if you're like me, you realize also that it's really a fine line that we walk with our inner voice, because it could be overly critical or intrusive kind of a voice, which sometimes can tip us over into the mental health conditions of anxiety and depression. Anxiety, when your thoughts are racing so much about the future and not letting you be present in the moment, and then depression, having your internal dialogue be so much about the past that it doesn't allow you to enjoy the moment that you're in. And you know what is really interesting is that neuroscience shows us that inner speech, it's activating the same areas of the brain as speaking out loud. So your mind doesn't really distinguish between your internal thoughts and your external dialogue. I always grew up being warned, be careful what you say. In the musical Into the Woods, even the witch sings a song that acts as a cautionary tale about the impact of adults' words and actions on children. The song emphasizes that children learn from what they see and they hear, and that the adults should be mindful of the messages that they convey. The witch sings, "Careful the spell you cast, not just on children. Sometimes the spell may last past what you can see and turn against you." Think of your outer voice and your inner voice as the adults influencing the children, which is your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is the programming that runs the show. Long after the thought or the word is spoken. And that means that your inner voice is powerful. And it's building your identity. It's really shaping your decisions. And if you're like most of us, sometimes it's whispering things that aren't really exactly empowering. I share in my book my personal story of when I lost my job and how I perceived that situation, and then the other negative experiences in my life that happened soon after, as meaning that I was not good enough, that I wasn't worthy of a position that I had been long dreaming of. It's an opportunity, really, to see these patterns and recognize that they are not producing the kind of results that we are hoping to, the kinds of results that are in our dreams of our best life. Wayne Dyer, one of my favorite authors and teachers, put it quite simply, "As you think you are, so shall you be." And Eckhart Tolle reminds us the primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation, but it's your thoughts about it. And thought leader and podcaster Brian Scott, who brings in the quantum perspective, says your inner voice is the first act of creation. It's the broadcast that the universe is listening to. So let's connect inner voice with assumptions equaling our manifested or lived reality. Your assumptions create your reality. And those assumptions that are embedded within your inner voice, that inner voice that's repeating those patterns over and over, whether you're conscious of them or not, the words that are saying, "I'm unworthy, this never works for me," that is what you're assuming and what's going to be reflected back to you. If you want to change your experience, you start with your inner voice. Let's talk now about the good, the bad, and the sneaky impact of the inner voice. A positive inner voice, that's the one that boosts your confidence, your resilience, and even is what athletes refer to, like Serena Williams, when she said, "It starts with how I speak to myself when no one else is listening." And throughout her tennis career, we observed as she demonstrated the power of positive self-talk and a strong mental approach. Olympic sprinter Carl Lewis, he once shared, "My thoughts before a big race are usually pretty simple. Get out of the blocks. Run your race. Stay relaxed. If you run your race, you'll win. Channel your energy. Focus." That voice is everything. And on the flip side, negative inner speech, those quiet, repetitive criticisms, they can really chip away at your self-worth. They can fuel the anxiety or even just really block you from being able to show up fully. Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps noted this. He said, "If that voice in your head says you can't, you're beat before you even dive in." Studies show us that without awareness, up to 80% of your thoughts can be negative, repetitive, and completely unconscious. But here's where you are empowered to rewrite the script. Let's now shift to the tools to help you master your inner voice. First tool is self-distancing. Talk to yourself like a friend. Instead of, "I can't do this," and being frustrated, insert your name and say, "Natascha, you've done hard things before. You've got this." Research shows us that even subtle shifts can really impact the nervous system and boost your performance. You're literally aligning your inner speech with the version of you that already has the life that you want. The second tool is to name the inner critic. We all have an inner critic, and I call mine Hazel. And when she pipes up or gets too negative, saying, "Who do you think you are?" I just smile and I name her and I thank her for trying to keep me safe, but I let her know that not today, Hazel. By naming your inner critic, it can really feel lighter. It can make it feel more humorous as you learn to navigate away from that constant flow of negative old patterns and programming. See this as an opportunity for you to upgrade. Upgrade your software, just like you upgrade your phone, your smartphone, or your computer. Let it be in the present moment an empowering thought. A friend of mine, he sees his negative thoughts as balloons that he just wants to release and happily watch as it floats away. The third tool that you can use is to reframe with presence and assumption. Catch the thought in the moment. Observe it. Get curious. Is this a thought that's empowering you, or is it diminishing your greatness and holding you back? Then take a moment and reframe it and say, effective immediately, "I choose to think this." Eckhart Tolle would say, "Be the awareness behind the thought." Brian Scott would add, "Assume the inner voice of your future self, and reality will catch up." Wayne Dyer reminds you, you cannot always control what goes on outside, but you can control what goes on inside. The next tool is reprogramming. Replace your habitual negative self-talk with affirmations rooted in the end scene. This is the teachings of Neville Goddard. He taught silent assumption technique. Throughout the day, silently affirm your desired reality through your inner voice. Go to the place in your imagination where you're already who you desire to be, and then affirm that throughout the day. Today, I'm going to challenge you to pause 3 times. Just tune in. What's your inner voice saying? Is it supportive? Is it critical? or is it chaotic? Then gently redirect your inner voice. Speak back to yourself like a loving friend or a wise coach, or that version of you who already is living your dream life. And tonight, before you go to sleep, reflect. What did my inner voice say to me today? How did I respond? And what is the one sentence that I'd like to hear tomorrow? And to wrap up, your inner voice is your greatest creative tool. It's not set in stone. It's just a habit, one that you can change. When you master your inner speech, you are becoming the architect of your own life. I hope this conversation was beneficial. I want to thank you for listening. If you haven't already, take a moment to like this episode, leave a comment, share it with a friend, and subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes where I explore the fascinating topics of voice, the power of your mind, manifestation, neuroscience, along with sharing some really incredible embodiment practices to help you architect your best life. If you have any questions for me, feel free to drop them in a comment, and they're going to help inspire future episodes. For the next 24 hours, speak to yourself like the most powerful and compassionate creator. Let me know how it goes. I'll see you right here next time when we're going to discuss singing and neuroplasticity, how song shapes the brain.